Hey, so I've lived here in LA for over a year now, and I still have not partook in the glorious tradition that is, much to the delight of robbers and thieves, a house tour. So come on, let's go. Why you jump through that front door quickly? This is the living room. It's the first room that you enter upon the house. It's where the front door leads into, and it's where so many memories are. This was my great grandma's chair, where she would sit for hours and do those crossword puzzles that I can't do. I'm freaking 21. She was like 93, and that's not even fair. However, now it is my grandmother's chair, and hopefully one day it will be passed on to me. Although, actually, it would probably be my wife's, but you know, it's 2017. However, if that is her chair, then that is my couch. It's where sometimes after a long day, I'll stretch out and lay down and do some editing while my grandmother sits right there and watches some TV. Which, funny thing about the TV, as you can see, it's a perfectly nice and serviceable TV, right? Except wait a minute, what is that? That's not supposed to be there. So, turns out, one day when my aunt was visiting with her pit bull dogs, they were playing together, as pit bulls do, and accidentally ran into the TV. And now we just kind of have to hope that nothing important happens on screen at this particular spot. And is, as we have found out, where most news channels put their banner information. We also have some old family photos. More old family photos. More old family photos. More old family photos. And more old family photos. You can kind of see why I'm so sentimental. It runs in the family. Moving on. This is the front room, aka the boring room, because not very much exciting stuff goes on here. There's the printer.
I take forever to start out.
There's a sewing machine. There's the internet giver. Papers, pictures, and old family trophies. It's also where our helmets and miscellaneous biking stuff goes. What's that? Why don't we put these in the garage with the actual bikes themselves? Cause this is where they go. Anyway, moving on to a more exciting room, my room, which as you can probably tell has a completely different look and feel than the rest of the house. It's very white, you know, very clean, very open, very, dare I say, minimalistic. Fun fact, this was my grandmother's room growing up. It's changed a little bit since then. She literally used to sneak out of the house as a teenager through this window. So first thing I have here on my bedside table is this Google Home, which I pretty much only use to be able to like look up the weather for where I am. Like literally that's the only reason I use it. I also have here some aloe vera because you know what? You always need some aloe vera around just in case you fall and scrape your arm and probably need urgent medical attention, but your very natural homeopathic upbringing taught you that you should always trust a plant-based solution over normative healthcare, even though it doesn't really make a lot of sense to you personally to ignore the medical training of people that have studied 8 years for this as opposed to just some book she found on a Whole Foods. Aloe vera. We also have, I don't actually know what this plant is. It's braided and kind of looks pretty. And of course, snake plant. I love these plants. Apparently they're really good at filtering out like, you know, bad stuff from the air, and as you know, I have this kind of phobia about not being able to breathe, and I constantly need fresh air around me at all times, and I don't know, it just kind of helps me like sleep better at night knowing that I'm not killing myself with bad air. And because it's literally called a bedside table, next to it we have the bed. I literally freshly washed all of my sheets and pillows and blankets and everything on this bed just for this video. It's gonna feel really good to get into tonight. This feels really good to get into tonight. We got our vlogger lights, which to be completely honest, I only ever plug in and turn on whenever I'm to have the camera on. I pretty much never have those on in real life. I'm a liar. On the other side of the bed, we have basically the same thing with a few minor changes, namely the addition of a it's hot! The vanilla scented candle and an AC unit, because Southern California in the summertime gets incredibly hot. And this house doesn't have central air conditioning or any air conditioning whatsoever. So that's important. Fun fact, this desk was originally a sewing desk, which is why there's this giant metal sheet covering this gaping hole where the rest of the sewing machine would go. But I just pretend that doesn't exist like I do with most of my issues in life. So here on the extended area on the left, we have my vlogging camera. Actually, this is my little charging area for my GoPro, that's the cable, but when I don't need it, I hide it up behind there. This, which is basically a big old USB hub because my computer only has 2 USB ins. Why? And then we got where I can plug my phone in when I'm working, which is very nice because that's why my phone is always charged, because whenever I'm not using it, in it goes, and then I can work. and know that my phone is charging for whenever we go out. Scooting the camera over to this side, this is where the fun begins. In this little corner, we have several important things. Mostly this lamp that I use as a fill light whenever I'm shooting a main channel video. A few pens, which I've like always had to just borrow other people's pens in my life, and honestly, there's just something so empowering about having your own pens, you know? Also my new toothbrush that I keep in here instead of the bathroom, because you wanna know why? People poop in the bathroom, and you know why it reeks afterwards? Because all those little poop particles, I don't want those getting on my toothbrush that I then put in my mouth. No thank you. I keep this thing in here where it is clean. I also keep this here. This is a little plug-in battery, so I can plug my camera directly into the wall and not have to worry about running out of battery when I'm filming, which sucks. And then, thanks to these little hooks that I've installed all around this desk, when I don't need this anymore, I can just drop it down there. Out of sight, out of mind. And finally, on this back wall that never gets shown in videos because all the interesting stuff is on this side, we have old family photos, and actually Adler's CD that a signed copy of it that he gave me when he visited for VidCon. And that's the basic gist of my room. Now directly outside of it, we have the hallway of doorways. Seriously, there are so many freaking doors that all manage to collide and hit each other all the time, and it's the most annoying thing ever. The best part is, originally there was more. There was a door in this doorway that they eventually took out because there were just too many doors. But speaking of this doorway, we have the kitchen. Of course, now the neighbor decides to start mowing his lawn. Just ignore that. But the most important part of the kitchen, the coffee maker. Man. But good. The rest of the house is a little more boring, like the washing machine, my grandparents' room, and our guest room. You know, very not exciting, but freaking covered in old family photos. Dogs, do you mind? I'm trying to make a YouTube video. They don't mind. And there you go. That was our house tour. You know, a year late, but hey. Hey, wait, where are you going? Where are you going? No, wait. I still have to outro this video! But speaking of this doorway. Oh, gosh. Well, I'm glad I didn't just cause the entire place to fall down. We also have some old family photos. Thankfully, I can tell exactly where this was by the dust. This is the living room. This was my great-grandma's chair where she would sit for hours and do like crossword. Oh, Emmy got freaked out that I was yelling at Grandma. Emmy, it's okay. It was acting.
Shush, I don't know that word.